Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen. Kubali has written in and said something that I definitely want to talk about. They say the child follows what the mother puts before her. Remove chips and any sugars, and the child should be introduced to a different diet. And I just want everybody to remind everybody that, it's a really good point, Kubali, but there's a ginormous asterisk here. That, we get to where we get with our children eating because of making lots of little individual choices where we thought we were doing the best thing for our child. And I see a lot of times when people have issues that get to this point and the child is only eating one thing, the parent becomes so afraid that their child is not going to get enough food to stay alive. Yes. The parents start to go, well, what will they eat? And then they feed them that. And then you don't want to take that away. And it becomes this thing that is this, habit trail, the little gerbil on the habit trail where you can't get any other place. And the child is dug in and the parent is terrified that their child won't eat. And and I know, because I'm a big proponent of this, I love, a parent taught me that when it's that really crazy time at 3:30 in the afternoon and people are starting to get hungry, you put out vegetables and fruits as a thing. You don't force anybody to eat it. You put it out and see if they'll eat it. And that often in that moment when they're hungry, they will eat things that they don't. But let's remember that for some kids, we're past that. Mm-hmm. that we're entrenched. And especially when we see kids, and she mentions that she'll only eat crunchy things. And you talk a lot about this on the program. Over the years, we've done so many videos on feeding with Dr. Shea and with other ginormous experts in the field of autism. So I encourage you to check to see in our library all the things that have to do with feeding. But one of the things that I love, and I encourage people to get, is I believe it's Jessica Seinfeld. It's Jerry Seinfeld's wife. And she made a cookbook back in the 90s where she stopped arguing with her kids about eating their vegetables and she just snuck them in. And there's a whole bunch of research in the field of autism that talks about this in a very scientific way. Jessica Seinfeld was not a part of that research, but she was just seeing with her own kids that, for instance, she was making chicken nuggets herself and coating them in a coating that had broccoli in it. And she has a cookbook. You can do this. And it plays right into some of the autism research about if your child loves crunchy stuff, then there are very sneaky ways for you to sneak things in. And if you put just a little bit in, they won't notice.
Yeah.
And then you can up it slightly until they get to the point where their taste buds can handle it. So if you're looking, and especially because you mentioned the crunchy, I just really want to recommend that book. Has got to be still available. It's probably, in its 18th printing. But it's super clever. I have to be honest that because I was a vegetarian when my son was born, he was already into a part of his diet. And I see that my stream is compromised, so I hope you guys can still hear me. But it's my husband that acted like a vegetable was something that he would have an allergic reaction to. And what I started doing was making meatloaf, and I would grind up carrots and broccoli and put it in instead of the eggs, the cheese, and the breadcrumbs into broccoli. And I would bake the meatloaf, and I wouldn't put in a lot of it, but just enough, and yep. My husband would say, "What did you do differently to this meatloaf? It's better than any meatloaf I've ever had." And over a period of time, I put in more broccoli and carrots. And my husband is somebody who will eat broccoli and carrots now. I realize he's not a kiddo on the spectrum and he doesn't have food selectivity issues, but I'm telling you, if you will at least look at that, Studies have been done on individuals on the autism spectrum where they put like a speck of spinach in chocolate, a speck of it. And if the child doesn't gag and spit it out, great, they maintain that. And then they put a speck and a half in and gradually get to the point where the child is eating a plate of spinach. It happens. It
It's
takes
exactly the
patience.
same. Yeah, that's exactly the same concept you're talking about, Shannon. And actually, now that you're saying that, like I realize over time, we've even in if you go grocery shopping, you know, like where things were just like, let's say chips, right? And you can
Mhm.
now buy just veggie chips or like, and you have so many different types of options to buy veggie chips. Or I remember there was a phase where all of us were making kale chips
Yeah.
ourselves, remember?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of stuff like that that you can do. And it's a very good point you're making that, you know, play with the thing that the child is stuck on. If it's crunchy stuff, actually give them all the good stuff, but in a crunchy format.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just want people to know that there is hope. But I think it's important to recognize that if you've gotten to that point, as Dr. Grampiche said, you really need some help because you have food baggage, your kid has food baggage, and you have baggage together. And if mealtime becomes a battle, that's when we get into the I'm just going to feed them because I know they'll eat them. And then we get like off kilter and you need help. It's not recriminations. You're not a bad parent. Your kid is your kid and you've done what you've done to keep them alive, but get yourself some help. Sounds like a pretty decent plan. Okay, we're saying good morning to Nasser too. We're so thrilled that all of you are with us. Okay. Thanks for watching Autism Live. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.
To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.